Let's get into that. What are some of, I guess, if you want to give me top 3, some bear cases that not only don't get it to a good valuation, but legitimately it's like a $30 stock by 2030, $40 stock. What would have to go wrong for that to happen?
So the first thing in that list is basically the certification aspects, right? They need to basically bring in the developer community along much more quicker. Maybe there are things that are happening that we don't know about, right? But these kind of conversations has been going on for more than a year now, right? So that is definitely, I think, I mean, one of the Achilles skill. But as you know, I mean, PwC and others are probably picking up on it, right? I mean, with experts like WhatsApp, right? I mean, so that should address that. But that
can you explain why that's important? Why incorporating this certification for developers like is a bull case ultimately?
Because it will not scale, right? So say the demand is basically okay. I mean, they have basically say they have 300 or 500 incoming requests for AIP. How are you going to basically go ahead and there is at least a week worth of configuration needed.
Yeah.
From what I understand, is to get it up and running, right? I mean, at least 2-3 days worth of configuration needed to get it up and running, right? And if you have to send an engineer to every place or a team to every place, right? I mean, to get this up and running, how scalable would that be, right? So that's why, I mean, okay, I mean, this is not, it's not like, I mean, basically, like, I mean, this is a model that has not been successful. It has been a successful model, right? I mean, Oracle did the same thing, SAP did the same thing, you know, using third party, right? I mean, to OEM deals to basically, like, you know, go ahead and do the configuration and deployment for their software, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, so that is the first case, right? The second case is basically that I don't know fully about is basically the threat of open source, basically in this. I don't know how much you have looked into it, but like, you know, I have only started looking into, like, you know, what are some of the other options, right? I mean, so if you look at some companies like Anthropy, they do similar things, right? I mean, at least they claim to do similar things, and they seem to even have a seat at some of the discussions, right? I mean, regarding all the like, you know, restrictions needed for generative AI. So there are multiple smaller companies and open source, like, you know.
How do you reconcile an open sourced platform with a company's proprietary data? Is that possible to even work together?
It's possible, right? I mean, even today, I mean, like, you know, all of these cloud providers, they take open source and basically adapt it the way they need it, right? And use it, right? So that will take time, right? For that to pan out. And Palantir already has a ready product. So now is the time, basically, like, you know, strike before that happens. So that is primarily the second, like, you know, bear case there is like, what else is coming, right? I mean, and the third one is, like, I mean, obviously these large companies are not going to basically sit idle, right? Starting with, like, you know, Microsoft, Oracle, you know. I don't know if you followed the Oracle earnings and the Oracle earnings call recently.
A little bit of it, not most.
Yeah, they seem to be having something up their sleeve, you know. I listened to the Oracle earnings call, actually. I mean, I was like, okay, what is the big deal here, right? And Larry Ellison seemed to be very confident in that he will basically, like, you know, take on a big chunk of the entire AI play. And coming from a veteran who has been in the industry for, like, I mean, 40-50 years, I don't think it is something that could be just discarded, right? I mean, they are partnering with NVIDIA. NVIDIA uses the Oracle Cloud, you know. So it is, they could be the wild card here, right? I mean, I'm not saying with respect to Palantir, but in general, in the AI world, I mean, Oracle could be the wild card. So players like that definitely, like, you know, be a reason why it might not reach a, like, you know, massive kind of valuation, right?
Let me ask you this question, piggybacking off Oracle and NVIDIA. Nvidia is now a $1 trillion company, and what I think investors are giving the premium to Nvidia for, even after like they've gotten premium after premium after premium, is they basically have a monopoly on GPUs and chips. And like, yeah, there's some competition, but there really isn't, and that's why the guidance went up 60%. And if the guidance keeps going up, like this thing could get really, really funny over the next couple of years. Most people, I mean, or I've seen a lot of people say Nvidia is a true AI play. Because they're designing the chips. Tesla with FSD is a true AI play. Microsoft with their LLMs and OpenAI, true AI play. Palantir is not a true AI play. It's just the picks and shovels for a company to be able to optimize with AI. Is that a bear case? Is that a negative? And do you think Palantir can eventually become a true AI play? Do they even need to be a true AI play? What are kind of your thoughts regarding that?
I mean, who else exists other than basically like, a very early stage startup or some attempts in the open source? What else exists today to basically that enables you to, I'm sure OpenAI has some tools probably, right? I mean, to help them configure their LLMs or train their LLMs. But are those developed to the point where basically it could be commercially made available?
Right.
I doubt it.
Right.
They probably can do it with the APIs. I mean, if you follow some of the leaderships, right? I mean, I was listening to one of the comments from Wayfair CTO. They are going to use the OpenAI like APIs for majority of the use cases, right? Or at least some of the use cases. That's what from one of the calls I understood. So there are going to be players who will directly use that, right? I mean, and there will be players who need much higher restrictions, compliance, standards, all of that, right? I mean, you cannot have those OpenAI calls from medical data, basically from a software that deals with medical data.